welcome to another video from Limitless Motorsports Garage. Today we're going to do a quick fix video. We're fixing a bad ABS sensor on the driver's side on our 2010 Nissan Versa hatchback project. Me and my uncle had changed out the wheel bearing on the driver's side back in April, and we did a no-no. Apparently, anytime that you're supposed to be working on the hub assembly, you're supposed to, like whenever you're changing them out or removing them, you're supposed to disconnect it from the actual hub assembly itself before you move the hub assembly around. Well, we didn't do that, and we turned the hub assembly. When we did, we kind of broke the ABS sensor. The ABS sensor actually plugs in right here, and it feeds all the way up through the splash guard and connects right there. So you can get a new one. They're about 17 bucks a piece from Rock Auto. That's what I did. I just simply ordered a standard replacement from Rock Auto. It's a cheap fix. It's nothing that's gonna break the bank. But it's definitely something that needs to be replaced, because whenever those things break, you lose anti-lock brakes, and in the Versa you got to have your anti-lock brakes. Any kind of modern car, you got to have anti-lock brakes. I know a lot of people don't particularly care for them, but with me using my car still for doing my nightly deliveries, and then my kids ride with me too, anti-lock brakes is something that you gotta have. So what we're going to do here is, the first thing you need to do is jack your car up in a safe, secure manner. I've got my jack stand underneath the car with my jack. If you don't have a jack stand and jacks and you want to start working on your car, before you start buying any modifications, that's something I recommend doing, is definitely buying yourself a jack and jack stands. It doesn't have to be anything like way over the top. You can actually go over to Walmart and get yourself a pretty decent quality jack with stands for about 60 to 70 bucks. It's really not bad. Or sometimes you can look up and find one second hand, you know, somebody just wanting to get rid of some old tools for a relatively cheap price. But my recommendation is, anytime that you're working on your car, especially if you're on any kind of slope, do not use the factory jack to work on your car. It's good if you're stuck on the side of the road changing out a tire or something like that, but take it from experience with somebody that's had one break on them and then had the car fall on them. It's not pleasant to be stuck underneath a car helpless, especially with, you know, like most of the weight on the car sitting on your shoulder. It sucks. But definitely don't ever use your stock jack to do any kind of like extensive work to your car. It's just literally, it's just used to change out the tires only. This jack was actually, it belonged to my great uncle. He sold it to my dad, and for like next to nothing. Whenever his wife passed away and he decided to move, he sold all of his tools, and we bought some of them from him, and the jack stands is something we bought off him. But enough family history. Today we're going to be changing out this ABS sensor, and another thing that it wouldn't hurt to do while you have your wheel off is inspect all your suspension pieces. It doesn't hurt, especially when you get up in higher mileage and you've never really replaced your suspension. It does good to sort of go through everything and look and see what needs to be replaced. And I'm looking at least two things right now that need to be replaced. These sway bar end links right here. This is a no-no. See that? The rubber boot's all cracked. It's got crud in it. When these go bad, they start to making like a little popping and cracking noise. Next thing I'm noticing right there is that rear bushing on the lower control arm. Ball joint seems to be still in really good shape. My recommendation on changing these control arms, because I've done it twice now, when it comes to changing, you know, that rear bushing needs to be changed out or anything like that, it's cheaper to actually just get on eBay and order a pair of control arms that already has the bushings pressed in and the ball joint pressed in. You can get a set for like 50 bucks. Whereas when you try to piece together the bushings that you need in the ball joint, you come out like twice over the price. Now, I actually originally bought my first replacement set in a kit. I got sway bar linkages, inner and outer tie rods, and control arms. Ordered in a kit off eBay for 125 bucks. Not bad. But with me doing what I'm going to be doing with the car, that rear bushing right there, there's actually a polyurethane replacement from a company called Powerflex. And there's a company, I can't remember their name, but they're based out of Serbia. They actually have polyurethane inserts for it as well. White Line makes polyurethane inserts for it, and Super Pro makes polyurethane inserts for it. On these linkages, something that I've seen here a lot of on the forum, people kind of doing the stance thing on the Versa. It's not my forte, but I've noticed a lot of people have been having problems saying that their sway bar linkage will no longer fit properly, or they can't get it to connect because they're too low. My recommendation to you guys would be, go find a set that's adjustable. eSpring, Super Pro, and a couple others, as a company in Australia, actually make, it's for the Tita, but it'll work on the Versa. They make adjustable sway bar linkages. Now, the sway bar linkages, they're relatively inexpensive. I know a lot of people were screaming, oh God, $100 for a new set of adjustable linkages. I'm not paying that bullshit. But yet they just went and spent, you know, $800+ on a set of coilovers, and then turn around and spent $1,500, $2,000 on a set of wheel and tires, and then a bag setup. Like, my second recommendation would be, quit slamming your damn cars to the ground. What we're going to do now, oh, if anybody's wondering, yes, this is an aftermarket brake line kit. I bought the last kit made for from Agency Power. There's a company called Micro Image. They were kind of helping team up to make some parts for the Versa. They actually did some stuff for the Prius and the Yaris and stuff like that. They've since went out of business like about 2 years ago, maybe longer. They have a eBay page, and I kind of got on there like looking around, and I found this Agency Power brake line kit for 60 bucks, and I jumped on it. My taxes came in, I jumped on that shit. I haven't put the rears on yet. That's mainly because my car was in an accident before, and the rear suspension beam was damaged. They replaced it, but whenever they put the brake lines back on the rear suspension beam, they over tightened the nuts on the brake lines where they connect together, and they stripped them. So I'm gonna have to take something and get them loose so I can replace those. But as for today, we're gonna get back to the ABS sensors. Sorry, I didn't mean to venture off there very much, but I tend to do that in a lot of my videos. But what we're gonna do here is, jack up your car, take your wheel off, and then what you're gonna need to do is come up in here in your wheel well. There's gonna be a pop clip here and one here. All you have to do is remove those two, sort of slide your splash guard down. Then you're gonna reach up in there, push that in. Hang on. There you go. It's got one of those little pop push-ins on it. Hang on, I'll show you. Right here. It's one of those you gotta push the clip in and slide it out. It's been on the car for a good while, so. Then you're gonna come up here. Trying to do all this one-handed. Let me give it a pull. And you kind of got to keep in mind where you're routing this at, because it's going to have to go back the same way. You can't just kind of throw it up in there. Pop the bushing out right there. There's another one right there. Runs behind and over the strut. Sorry guys, bear with me. This is my first time doing this whole filming thing for you guys by myself. Nick's kind of still asleep. Okay. Something my dumbass forgot to do. This is a 10mm socket. Or 10mm bolt. So let's go back to the back of the car, get in the toolbox, get a 10mm. Okay, where's my 10mm? Oh, no, I remember where my 10mm is. And it's not in my toolbox. Reach into the door here. Smack your 10mm socket on there. Give it a little turn. Literally the only thing holding this thing in. Gotta kind of push back a little bit on that dust shield right there. What you do is you're gonna take your new sensor, be gentle because these things are very, very frail. I'll blow the dirt out of that right there. Put your 10mm bolt back in it. It's not very long, you don't have to over tighten it. Can't stress that enough with some of these parts, especially if you're putting bolts through plastic pieces like this. Do not over tighten them. You'll do nothing but break shit. Trust me, from experience, many years of trial and error and doing this and breaking stuff. Get it in nice and snug. That's good. Okay, now what you want to do is pretty much just follow the damn grooves. Like, but Houston, I had to move this up there. Those are adjustable, by the way, before anybody like freaks out, like, oh my god, he's about to tear up his ABS sensor. Take it, pop it in place. Go through the back side, over, under, over. Right here. Take that and push it up in place. Make sure these are up there getting snug and into where they're supposed to go. Run it up on the back side here. find where that thing pops in at. Right there. 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 Sorry guys, it sounds like right above the car where I'm trying to look at here. Just take it. It's kind of self-explanatory, and put her back up where she goes. Hang on. Bear with me just a second, guys. Okay. Now, back up there in place. Where we're supposed to go. Everything else from here on is kind of like self-explanatory, you know, just put your pop clips back in, which I'm gonna have to go back to the toolbox and get a couple of new ones because, as you can see, these have kind of had it. But that's today's quick fix video. If you want, I will put a link in the description of the video to where to find these replacement sensors at. See, look right there. It's actually melted the the end of the sensor. But I will post a link in the description of the video. That way you guys can track down and find your new ABS sensors. Looks like another how-to video that we're going to be doing here soon is going to be replacing lower control arms, sway bar linkages. That's all I could tell from over on this side. I knew I've been hearing some little bit of cracking and popping in suspension. I kind of figured the sway bar end links have kind of bit the dust. I changed these out last year. Around April, but as much driving as I do and as many miles I put on the car in a year span, we kind of wore it out again. But I will post a link in the description. If anybody has any questions on where to track down any standard replacement or aftermarket parts, or want to see any particular how-to videos, especially on the Versa, of me and my dynamic duo, I am the bit of the Versa guru. So if anybody has any questions on where to track down replacement parts, aftermarket parts, installations, or wants to see any installation videos, please comment in the comment section and let us know what you want to see. Thank you.